Hi, Peter Rohn, New York Fashion Times, and I have.
Solveig Cirone.
Hi, Solveig.
Hey,
How are you?
marvelous.
So we just watched your show last night. There were a couple key pieces that you wanted to mention. Which ones were those?
So they're the Franklin, the Torchlight, the Charleston, my Aviv, Hoshana, Jardine, and Siempre. These are all names that I give to my pieces.
Okay, and which do you think has or had the biggest show-stopping, or how do you call it, grandiose effect?
Probably the Charleston, which had the overall straps,
Okay.
and then the bow to the left. It's a black pinstripe lycra,
Okay.
and then also the Aviv, which was the textile with the lavender roses on it, which we took those images ourselves and put them on an Italian recycled lycra.
Okay, and that's a new thing for you, isn't it?
It is. I don't normally do prints, so this is the first print I've ever put on the runway.
Gotcha. Okay, so anything else that's kind of a departure or a modification from your previous shows?
So I enjoy having the billboard pieces, and this year having the feathers, which was a bring back of a cabaret, in alignment with the collections theme. So
Okay.
having the rhinestone pieces and her feather shawl, a feather wrap, yeah.
I think that was kind of
Created some excitement.
the showstopper feature. I mean, not the showstopper, but it was one that caught people, and they were really happy to see it.
And the reason for this as well is because with my studies of art history, there's an artist named Elizabeth Gardner Bougueray, and she does a painting of two maidens with a dove being released from a cage. And the French love this piece of art because it's a loss of innocence. And so the jazz era was a time of a loss of innocence. So Cirone Swim is promoting to keep holding on to that purity and innocence and the beauty.
I wanted to also ask you about the start of your show where you had I believe it was a champagne bottle pierced by a bullet. What made you decide to bring that imagery into your show?
That was quite extemporaneous. It happened, but the champagne, the celebrating of life, a bit of freedom, of that 1920s, it just went with it.
So it was kind of like popping a bottle, but doing
Popping a bottle, yes.
doing it dramatically.
Champagne luge. I was looking for a champagne luge, but yeah, we found that, and it explosion.
Well,
Who doesn't like a little explosion?
the slow-mo had a nice effect. I think that was a great way to open your show.
Yeah.
So would you like to mention anything else about the show or about your upcoming designs or intentions?
Well, it's been about 2 years since I've shown. I've done editorials in between. So creating and a commitment to your art and being diligent is what I want to inspire artists to continue doing, and not to quit.
What about the few months when you were kind of in lockdown? How did that affect your creative process, and how did that affect your interest in continuing the brand? Because you were kind of sort of stalled there for a moment with all the restrictions.
So I continued creating, and I was prepared last summer, and then I had more time. So and then I ended up starting a master's degree. So
Okay.
continuing education, cultivating my mind, ended up, seeing. I went to museums once they started, reopening them, but
Of course.
no, quarantining, it didn't really work very well for me. I can't.
Was it harder to get supplies and materials?
Yeah, yes, it was actually. I just think the universe and God knows your heart. Certain things just came into place at times that were kind of random.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now things are, your supply
Because-
chain is getting better.
Yeah, because the supplies were either, realistically, a lot of things have been a shortage. So luckily, my Strass Crystal Lycra I had before that.
So you were able to procure some of it before the actual shortage, so you don't have to wait an excessive amount of time to complete your designs.
Right. There was about 6 more designs that I ended up creating, and like I said, extemporaneously, I met Gretchen and a master seamstress. He had worked for De Jour, and he's in my small town of Park City, Utah, and Umberto from Argentina, and it just...
Your team kind of came together.
It came together more so at the very end, and it was like, is the universe trying to test me? Am I going to continue this, or so?
What are your thoughts? I mean, what makes
Like-
what makes you want to continue? What makes you not want to continue? You like the creative process.
Yeah.
You like the concept of the shows. You like the fanfare of the shows. But what is it's kind of logistics that sort of actually slows you down, like the event space, the event, the models, the model selection. That whole process gets.
I just don't have all the answers, Peter. And
Okay.
even when I'm creating things, I don't have all the answers.
Well,
and that sometimes
we
think
never
that's the
do.
magical, whimsical part about myself, and also the brand. It's quite
and the industry.
magical, like
Yeah.
how things have happened.
You never really know.
I really live an enchanted life. I feel so blessed.
You never really know how
But
everything comes
I think
together.
the most important thing is a positive PMA and an outlook, and always keeping grace and noblesse oblige, just remembering to act kind to others. Yeah.
And not to forget your background and what you came from and your
Yeah.
inspiration, and,
Yeah.
and that keeps things moving.
Yeah.
So we can find you where again on your website is?
So it's CironeSwim.com, and then my Instagram is Solveig Cirone _.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for watching. You're watching New York Fashion Times. Thank you.